Hello. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to another episode of sorry. I'm still stuck on yesterday. Welcome to another episode of the Space Sheriff Gav-sudan, the only show that dares to ask the question, what the fuck is going on in space right now? I'm, of course, your host with the most, your mercenary with the kicks, coming to you from 2286, call sign Henshin. Hope everyone's having a good weekend so far. Hope everyone's enjoying themselves. Hope everyone has been taking care of themselves. We're down to the wire. Next week, confirmed, is the finale of the Space Sheriff Gav-sudan and of Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity. And that is very much a kind of a odd prospect, because this show, for all intensive purposes, has not been good. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not been bad. Okay, it's been bad. I was trying to sugarcoat it, but in reality, no. It's been very miss. I would say maybe 10% hit, 90% miss. It's been, if nothing else, confusing. If nothing else, it's been extremely confusing as to what the point of it all is. What does it mean? What does it all mean in the grand scheme of things? What was the point? Right? We are no clearer to what the point of this show was than we were at the start. And with each week, it's just asking ourselves, what the fuck is going on over there? You know? I'm just trying to, compound this in my head, and I'm just, not finding answers. I'm baffled. I genuinely do not know what was the point of all this. Right? If anything, maybe that was the point. Maybe the intrigue is making us question, where the fuck are we going with this? But even then, I don't think Toei, or the writers, more specifically of Gavan, are doing that kind of 4D chess. So it's I just don't know. Where are we going with this? What's the premise? Why are we here? Why? Why do we exist? Why, God? Why? Okay, maybe I'm getting a little too extreme on that. But still, the question remains, what was it all for? Right? What was the point of it all? And today's episode is no different. Because a wrench has been thrown into the works literally one episode before the finale. The penultimate episode. And a wrench has been thrown in. A wrench that would have probably made more sense as a mid-season thing is now being given to us with only one episode after it. I can't say I'm optimistic. I feel like maybe I'm going to be... If anything, I feel like we're just going to be as equally as confused, if not more. I don't know what kind of story they've been trying to tell, but it's clear the writers for each episode are not communicating with each other. Because everything just seems to happen in a bubble every episode, you know? Everything just seems to be just not, right? I feel like all these writers have a specific direction they wanted to go, but they didn't tell anybody else. And that's why I feel like this show is as confusing as it is. You feel me? I just want to I want to understand, really. But I can't. And so, honestly, I'm not going to keep racking my brains over it because I'm pretty sure we're going to be racking our brains after the fact. So, let's just go ahead and get a move on with today's festivities, if you want to call them that. Let's head over to our cinemas. Let me just go ahead and put this on screen for y'all. So here. Don't know why it brought me all the way back up to the top, but here we are. Started from the bottom, now we're here. All right. If there's a way to like pause this with a fade, that'd be great. So. All right. So here we go. Let's just go ahead and get into it and see what confusing narratives are they going to throw at us this time. This is the penultimate episode of Space Sheriff Gav Infinity, episode 22, simply titled Jouchaku. Let's see what it's all about. Somewhere in Dimension Zeta. Whoa! This man is doing handstand push-up. Wait, what? Little smudged.
君たちも信じればいい。力を授かる。アザゾルスについて恥ずかしながら今さら我々も調べました。全宇宙には先輩のような信奉者が政府から学校まで。
They're just until now looking into it?
恐ろしくなりました。
Why would you admit that?
何をスパイしてたんですか？
すべては俺のためだ。自分が楽しい、自分が正しい、そうありたいと願う者にアザゾルス様は力をくれるのだ。
Oh, this man's off his rocker.
管理官から見て怪しい素振りは見られませんでしたか？
それは君も同様だろう。
はい。
本部全職員の身体検査をしなければならん。
Are you in league with that? I'm trying to freaking figure this out. Are you in league?
ずっと不在なのだ。君は何か聞いていないか？
いえ。何も。
ここにはインフィニティの血液から採取した闇マクールの成分を風波流の飛躍で再現でもって風波流秘伝次元渡りを私的にちょっと融合させた人工エモルギア波動が入ってんの。
闇マクールの影響は？
飛躍で再現しただけなんだってば。だから影響ない。ただこれね、エモルギアと感情を伝え合える人しか使えない。お兄さん、エモルギアの相棒いる
？Yeah.
今
Whoa!
愉快だ。君が相棒になってくれるのか？
じゃあここに置いて。
The chief's finally gonna be able to step out of the ship.
本当にこれで？すでに実践済みだ。他のギャバンは信じろ。
Just spotting his arm off.
大佐、頼むよ。愉快だ。
エモン。
Take a deep breath, my friend. You're gonna be all right.
降りてこいよ。大佐。
エモンエモン。
They already told you it worked on everybody else, so like, what are you panicking about? And the other Gavans were able to just stand on the planet just fine. So what's your concern, my guy? Come on, put your foot down. Put your foot down. Hey, Dane, how you doing? Welcome to Earth Zeta, bitch. Wait, we're putting in the insert here? We're putting in the finale music here? What the heck? Now I gotta mute it. God damn it. Dude, you do not make me mute mid-episode. Come on, copyright shit. Dude's losing his fucking mind. Look, man, for what it's worth, despite the fact that this show is poorly written, it has its moments like this.
風並で。レジ、これからは僕も現状に立てるよ。待ってたぞ、この時は。
Hey!
とってもギャバいです。課長。
That's beautiful.
ギャバいってそういう風に使うんだ。はい。初音さんは別の地球には行かないんですか？私は1号地球がホームだから外出たくない。
Interesting.
フライ、こちらダールスだ。ルルギエの居場所が判明した。直ちに急行せよ。
Oh, they're chasing that bitch. Okay, that is a odd opening sequence to start with. I mean, I guess we're trying to like set up that this is the end.
空間に逃げ込んでいた脱獄犯たちはそれぞれの次元で悪の活動を再開していた。
Wow, we just ended the Evildoers Alliance. Just fuck you. Just fuck that. They just said, fuck the evil group finally forming. They just said, fuck that shit.
いやー、ギャバン。
よう、また会ったな。元気そうじゃねえか。
アザゾルス様の祝福を受けたからね。バイアクベ再生のイベントを始めよう。ギャバンを倒した者には僕がご褒美をあげるよ。
Oh, Jesus. That sound is just so unsettling, man. That sound, like, they're just doing regular movements, but adding the cracking of the bones, like, it just makes it so much worse. Alright! Our boy, Bushido!
カラスマルをかくまっているのはかつて取引になった犯罪集団。油断は禁物。
Booby trap! Get down!
Maro 手厚いお迎えは。この脱獄、手引きしたのは誰？黙秘権。
Jesus! Did you just... He just point blank Setsuna?
カラスマロともあろうものがそれがしの生まれを知らぬか。
真の像を貫いたはず。化け物め。
何度もそう呼ばれた。だが今はこの不死身こそ誇り。
Okay, so he is functionally immortal. Okay. I mean, that would have been nice to know at the start.
本部長を守り、この宇宙を永遠に守る盾となる。
化け物はこの世に生きる場所なしよな。
さらに多元地球イオタ
Meanwhile, on the luminous Earth.
信奉者たちの動きが加速していた。
特別顧問にお迎えできて光栄です、坂原先生。
アザゾルス様の祝福は大きな成功をもたらします。望むものはすべて手に収めることができる。
Wait, what the fuck? She now runs a company? That fast?
では早速ビジネスの話を。
銀河連邦警察です。よく探り当てたものね。
鑑識課は犯人の痕跡を探るところですから。
簡単すぎて話になんない。悪魔に魂売ってやってること変なコンサル。
お逃げください。ここは我々が。
いいえ社長、この子たちとは因縁があるんです。ここで決着をつけます。もう
Whoa, she got a gun!
どうか我々にも祝福を。
See, again, that wouldn't be so unsettling. It just looked like they're moving around Matrix style, but you add the crack and it makes it so much worse. Hit him with a chair! Look, man, the writing might be shit, but the action scenes are still fucking awesome. Like, you cannot deny that, like, even though the writing is shit, the fighting scenes are just peak. Axe kick! Jouchaku. Huh?
歓喜？どうして？
Now the tree of last episode makes itself clear.
局長、レースもクナイも乗着できません。ギャバンシステムが反応しないんです。もしや他の次元でも同じことが。
アクシデントかい？僕の方がうつやかに着替えるよ。
Oh, we're fucked. Caltrop!
風波流の空き菱は電気走るから目の覚める痛さ。
初音。
秋も戦いまーす。
Oh shit! Agi-chan is here to fight, baby! Trick shot mistress, baby! Oh shit! Wow, that's kind of hot, not gonna lie. That. No. Don't fall for it, man! Don't fall for it!
どうした？
大いなる ザゾルスの一度受け入れたお前だ。
When?
すべての感情を宇宙の真理に委ねろ。
Oh shit! There's your deuce. There's your deuce X. There it is. Welcome to the void.
あんた、
あの日以来になる。
あんたが高次元だったのか。
He's met him before? Oh, okay. It's like we have taken this form so you can better understand us.
ギャバンとして君を認可したのはこの最高会議だ。
じゃあギャバンシステムもあんたの管轄だろ。蒸着できないのはどういうことだ。
最高会議の決定による宇宙にギャバンは一人。ギャバンとは高次元の理想を体現するもの。そうでないものは高次元にとって不都合である。
は？
不都合？なんだそれ。俺たちはあんたの人形か。
多くのギャバンが一つの宇宙に集結することは高次元が遵守するアカシックレコードを大きくねじ曲げる。
俺はアザザルスの力で散々次元を超えてんだ。なんで止めなかった？
Interesting.
デスギャバンをおびき寄せるため
They used him!
先日のエモルギーシンドロームを高次元は予見していた。これを防がんとして君を泳がせていたのか。本部長。デスギャバンは高次元もアザゾルスをも超越して
Wait, what?
絶対に対し反逆を
Death?
企てている。
What do you mean Death Gavan is higher?
デスギャバンはアザゾルスの手先だろ。
アザゾルスは言葉を持たない悪意と暴力の集合体。ネガだまりを想像したまえ。高次元は光、アザゾルスは影。正義が輝くほど悪も強くなる。人間の心に善と悪の感情があるよう。
Ah, the yin and yang.
表裏一体でバランスを保つ。それが宇宙だ。
表裏一体か。
Oh, he's coming to a realization. He's coming to a realization. Where's the explosion? There it is.
エモルギーを増幅させて力とするギャバンシステム。感情が欠けた者こそその性能を強く引き出す。
Lack emotions?
言ってくれるじゃねえか。
欠けているからこそ邪神アザゾルスがつけ込む隙を生む。第二のデスギャバンを生むわけにはいかない。よって高次元の理想に沿わなくなった現行のギャバンすべて罷免し新たなギャバンを選定する。
Oh shit!
俺はギャバンである前に犯罪と戦う手下だ。デスギャバンは犯罪者だ。俺にケリをつけさせろ。
認めない。
Wait, does this show end with all of the previous Gavans dying?
ギャバンたちを信じてはいかがですか。
彼で
君は監視役だ。 人間の世界に染まりすぎたか。
多くの人々の感情を預かってきた彼はそれを力に変え戦ってきました。闇マクール、アザゾルスのエモルギアさえ糧とする我々には規格外の存在です。
Oh shit! Oh! Oh! I was not. Oh my god! Jesus fuck! I was not expect. They're going. Oh my god! What is happening?
無限地獄に生きるわ。よくに覚えた。
The fact that he slammed freaking Koto into the fucking table face first caught me so off guard.
それがしの力となっている。
あなたたちも元は同じはみ出し者。祝福を受けなさい。そうすれば許してあげる。
分かってないな、先生。祝福とかそういう言葉で自分をごまかしてんじゃない。
先生は自分を否定しすぎです。笑顔を取り戻してください。私たちそこに気づいて今があります。
感じるぞ、君の恐怖。快楽に染まって恐怖から目をそらし、君に何が残る。黙れ。
あんたデスギャバンに怒ってんだろ。俺もそうだ。だからその怒り俺に預けろ。
Okay, this is a roller coaster, man.
君がこれから何をなすのか見せてもらおう。ギャバンシステム停止命令解除。乗着を認可する。
Hey, there's our boy!
デスギャバンを止められるのは全宇宙全次元で君だけだ。ギャバン
Hell yeah!
任せとけよ。俺たちに。
This is setting it up, man. Charge! Jouchaku. Okay, I expected that. I thought that was gonna be like they all get powered up or something. I mean, if this were where the show to end and they like set up the next season or whatever it is, like I wouldn't be mad at this. This would have been a fitting ending because he's proven himself, you know? But we have one more episode left in the chamber. So let's see where this goes. It's beautiful. Jouchaku.
インフィニティ。レイジ殿。
レイジ君。
レイジ。超宇宙刑事ギャバンインフィニティ最終話。
Infinity.
到着。
So I will say, this is it's kind of interesting that they've kind of pivoted. Let me go back to the main screen. It's interesting that they've pivoted. You know what I mean? Like Azazoth is the absolute evil at the center of the universe. Yet in this one episode, they've set up Death Gavan as the big bad. Apparently, Death Gavan has surpassed Azazoth. In what way? I don't know, but it's weird because Death Gavan has been a loyal subject, and it states that. But somehow the higher dimension believes that Death Gavan is a higher threat, which means to me that Azazoth will continue to exist beyond this. Azazoth could possibly be what's setting up the show for season 2, or it's going to be the through line throughout, if not all of Project Red, a good chunk of it. That's what it's giving to me. Okay? Like, that's what it feels like to me, that they're just giving very much a precursor. Like, Azazoth seems to be, like, when they talk about the universal truth, it's a truth that I guess by setting it up in this way is a truth that cannot be fought. At least not in the current state of Gavan, right? Gavan is also a universal truth. It's the universal truth of light. But in a sense of checks and balances, Azazoth, as it currently stands, is an imbalance. Azazoth exists in a way that cannot be defeated. Doki Reiji is the embodiment of the balance between his raw emotion, which is the light, and the Yamimakuru, which is the darkness. So as such is the truth of the universe that there must be a universal balance. Death Gavan is the disruptor of that balance because he seeks to lean the scales in the balance of evil, aka Azazoth. And in such a way, because of that, he very much is, in that sense, truly the surpassing factor. Azazoth is not itself an evil force, as it much so is a counterbalance. Death Gavan throwing it out of whack would empower Azazoth and trigger the deletion of all things good in the world. So as long as there is someone causing more evil than good, then good has to step the fuck up. So that being said, though, if Azazoth is going to be a universal constant, then how do you go about building a through line between Gavan, Omega Horn, and all the other Project Red members that are coming afterward? What do you do? How do you build a through line like that? Like, how do you build a through line like that? To me, this feels like Azazoth has, I feel like maybe that might be by design, maybe unintentionally so, but it definitely feels like Azazoth was not made a big deal because he was never truly meant to be the big bad of Gavan Infinity. The problem here is, though, is that you've had Gavan travel to so many dimensions, yet somehow he missed somehow the Omega Horn universe. Like, we didn't see that? Like, or can he only travel to other worlds where Gavans exist? You know, like it there's so many questions, right, that they have not answered. And I don't know if we're ever going to get an answer. I don't know if they're going to do a V cinema or if there's going to be supplemental material. Like, there's so many questions at the end of the day that need answers, and this show has failed miserably in giving us any. Because here's the thing, you don't give answers that cause more questions unless it fits the plot, right? Like, Zets does this really well where we have more questions than we have answers, but as the series gradually goes along, we get the answers. Gavan planted answers that gave us more questions and failed to answer those questions in the transcourse of the entire series. This is where Gavan's biggest weakness lies. And it goes back to what I said earlier about the writers not communicating with each other. Because at the end of the day, there is no through line. There is no answers to the questions that were previously posed. Gavan exists for the sake of existing. And it's just baffling to me. I would say this was a good episode just based on the action alone, but I feel like it's dragged down. Like, they explained the universal balance to us and all those things, but like, and the reason why they shut off the system, but it still rings kind of hollow, right? It doesn't have substance, and the timing of it is so bizarre that, like, when you look back to the previous episodes, there was a moment in the series where literally Rhea was told the search for Death Gavan was suspended, and yet they continued to do it. Like, literally, that could have been, like, you could have easily, at that moment when they said that the search was suspended, they still search for him, but immediately after they make another contact with him, that's when you could have shut off the Gavan system. They did everything so out of order, and it feels so rushed, that leads me to believe that they only learned about the fact that they only had 23 episodes in the middle of production. And so they had to ham-fist everything in. Because if you look at it like that, halfway through the series, like, by the looks of it, they wanted to take their time telling a story. But the fact that everything was immediately changed halfway through, like, if you were to ask me, I think we weren't supposed to have that second confrontation with Death Gavan. Like, if we're looking at it in a 50-episode format, I don't think we would have had that confrontation with Death Gavan until maybe, like, episode 26. Right? Like, I feel like if you go from episode 1 through 8, that was supposed to be, like, the first contact. And then they were going to take their time telling the story. And then someone from up high said, yeah, bad news. You guys are only getting 23 episodes. Deal with it. So, like, the decisions that have been made throughout this show have been nothing short of baffling, rushed, confusing, insulting. A lot of people, like, someone on X or Twitter or whatever the fuck you want to call it, actually said to me that if you don't enjoy the level of absurdity from that one episode where Bekringer debuts, I don't know what to tell you, but, like, I don't think the guy understood that it's not the absurdity of the scene that bothered me. It was the fact that it wasted time. We have very little time, and yet we wasted that entirety of an episode with a bullshit plotline that had no impact on the overarching story, and using your mech that is the most powerful one in existence to do something that A, you could have done with like the crane mech, and two, rather than make it all impact, it was obscenely silly. I don't think he understood that it's not that it was an absurd thing, is that this happened at a time when we should not be absurd. If this happened maybe like after episode 8, I would be a little bit more receptive. But we're nearing the end, and you wasted time doing absurd shit. If this happened earlier in the show, I'd laugh at like it's supposed to, because it's absurd, it's funny, but we still had time. This happened literally in the second half of the series. So that's why I took umbrage with it. Especially when it was like so close to the end. Like we were like 3/4 of the way through the series and you pulled that absurd shit. This show suffers from lack of time to tell a story, wasting said lack of time to be goofy, and now have a bunch of narratives that went nowhere and a bunch of questions that were never answered. The literal only saving grace of this show are the action sequences. When I said this is a feel-good toku, I meant that, because literally, in order to feel good about this show, you actively have to turn your brain off. And unfortunately, a lot of us have been spoiled by Zets. We now crave narrative. We now crave drama, emotion. We crave good-ass storytelling. And this show had none of that. None of it. And you can blame it on the circumstances. You can blame it on the fact that it didn't have enough time. But even then, like people have pointed out, animes have had less episodes than this, and still managed to tell a story. So what the fuck? And your Toei animes have had less episodes than this and managed to tell a coherent story. What's this show's excuse? What is this show's excuse? You're telling me you can't tell a Tokusatsu series in half the time? You're telling me that you can't do that? To me, this is why I think they literally told them halfway through production that this show was going to have half the episodes. This is what I genuinely believe. Because there's no way... Because it's possible to tell an epic in 20 episodes or less. They had 23. So unless they were blindsided halfway through production saying we only got enough funding for 23 episodes, I just don't see how we ended up here. I genuinely do not see how we ended up here. We shouldn't have ended up here. And yet we did. All we can do now is just take solace knowing that next week, it's the end. And hopefully, Omega Horn was properly informed that they got only freaking 20 episodes and they'll write accordingly. As a matter of fact, let me check to see if the writing staff has been announced for this show. Let me see if there's anything on the Project Red wiki. Also, are they even going to do the crossover cameo in the final episode? Is Omega Horn going to fucking show up somehow? You know? These are questions we need the answers to. Kakuse Hunter Omega Horn. Let's see what it says. Toei, Bandai, yada yada yada. Applied for the Captain Omega Horn is named Shout the Fiery. The fuck? His name is Shout. That's fucking hilarious. Suit actors, the cast, music, streaming platforms, YouTube in limited batches, Abima, TVR, Telasa, TTFC, Amazon Prime Video. Yeah, there's no reporting on the writing staff yet. I want it to be someone who gives a shit, right? I want the writer, the main writer of this show to be someone who gives a fuck. Someone who's worked on something good. Because I am absolutely terrified. No, maybe not terrified. Worried. I'm absolutely worried. Because as far as I can tell, this was a horrible way to kick off Project Red. Could it have been worse? Abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely it could have been worse. But it could have been a lot better too. So it's like middling. It's middling. And looking back at it now in retrospect, it's not as bad as Gozyuger, but only because we only had to deal with the bullshit less. You know? Like, this could have been so much better than it was. And yet, bullshit. And I will admit, at least Gavan Infinity has redeeming qualities. Like I said, the choreography is stellar. The fight scenes are just chef's kiss. But it's just kind of dragged down by everything else. It feels like I'm already making a retrospective on this. But, I mean, it's just kind of hard not to point out where we were when we started to where we were now. And I was optimistic about this show. I really was. And then halfway through, I'm just deflated. Because I see the writing on the wall. I see what's happening, and I don't like it. And I feel like I look at other people online, and they're genuinely enjoying the show. And I'm like, I've had the enjoyment of this show ruined for me. I've had it ruined, man. And I don't like it. I don't like that I've had this shit ruined for me. But, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? At least it's almost over. I can say that for a fact. It sucks that it's over. We don't even have confirmed like how many episodes we're getting for Omega Horn, but I think it stands to reason that it's going to be the same amount of... It's going to be the same amount of episodes as Gavan, because then otherwise, giving Gavan a half season makes no sense. Like, it could have been so much better, but it could also have been so much worse. Like, it ain't... How do I put this down? It's genuinely... It could have been better. I mean, I don't think I think I'm repeating myself, but I don't think I can describe it any better. It's almost kind of like the premise of a show in the way. You got to take the bad with the good with the bad. There needs to be a balance. Do I think this show achieved that balance? like, like I think like maybe it leans a little bit more towards bad. Yeah. But the last episode is upon us. We will find out next week how it all ends. What does it all mean? And hopefully maybe even learn a little bit about Omega Horn. I don't know if they're going to do the last episode like cameo like they do with Kamen Rider and how they did with Sentai before. Well, Sentai didn't really have that. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, Sentai didn't really have that. Does anyone remember a Sentai where they actually the next Sentai would cameo in the show in the last episodes? Because I genuinely do not remember. I'm like thinking off the top of my head. The Gozujers never showed up in Bumbunjer. Yeah, they never did. Sentai never did that. The fuck? Yeah, okay, so it might stand to reason that Gavan won't do it with Omega Horn. I think it stands to reason. Now, will they do the post-episode handoff like they did in Sentai? That's a big question. That's a big one. I feel like they could, simply because we've already like established that the Omega Horn power-up is eerily similar, almost one-to-one, with the Emor gears. I think they're called Evol gears or something along that sort. I forget what they were called. There's no thing on it. Egor gear, which I don't know what the hell that means. Emo could be like Emergy, but Egor, like ego? Like, I don't know if it's ego, but there's definitely like... I don't know what the... It's a portmanteau of ego, okay. But ego in Japanese is... Apparently, ego is a word in Japanese, but what that means, I don't know. Let me see. Can I get that translated to English? Self or identity. So ego means the same in English as it does in Spanish? I mean in Japanese? The loan word in everyday Japanese is more selfishness and arrogance. Incredibly selfish, stubborn, or inconsiderate of others. Ego, short for ego search, for Googling yourself. Ego in Japanese without using the katakana loan word. Jiga, used for the psychological philosophical concept of the self. Jishonshin, used to translate ego when it means pride or self-esteem. Wagamama, selfish or self-centered. How does ego play into Megahorn? I'm baffled. Are we implying that Omega Horn is a self-centered prick until like Captain Omega Horn like tames him or some shit. Like, what are we doing here? What's the meaning? Yeah, I don't know. I'm baffled. But I guess we'll find out closer to the debut of Omega Horn, which means we'll probably start learning more about him starting next week. So yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes out for that. I don't know if like anything has been like said or done. Let me check the old For You thread. I don't usually check For You, but sometimes you get the app just puts you there, and sometimes it shows you some good stuff. Sometimes. Let's see. Okay, that's funny. Spoilerinos. Let's see. Wait, what? Wait a minute. What the fuck am I looking at? What are these? I'm confused. Okay. Someone posted like 2 episodes here. I don't know where they're from. But for some reason, like, Zets showed up in Legend? I don't know if I quite understand this. Also, apparently there's going to be more animal writers in that season? I don't know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, nothing's been said. Nothing's been said. But we will find out. Next week is the finale. And so I hope everyone's ready for that one. Next week may be either a superhero Zatsudan, or we'll just do it as normal. Like I said last night, it will all depend on what happens during the week in my personal life. If something happens that I'm hoping will happen, then we will just do a superhero Zatsudan on next Sunday. But if not, then we'll just have the schedule as normal. So let's go ahead and start winding down here. Meh. Ugh. That didn't feel good. Ugh. I think it died. I think a burp died trying to get out of my mouth. What the heck? That felt horrible. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and send y'all somewhere. Let's see. Where do I send my Twitch peoples? Excuse me. I will send you to the Puppet Man. That's what I'll do. I will send you all to the Puppet Proctor. That's what I will do. Go give the Felty Man that cool Henshin Core love in the way that y'all do. On YouTube, you're just going to get a blank screen, but on both platforms, regardless. thank you so much for watching another episode of the penultimate episode of the Space Sheriff Gav-sudan. I will see you all next week, whether it be a full-on superhero Zetsudan or on our separate Kamen Rider Zetsudans and Space Sheriff Gav-sudans. But regardless, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. My name is Callsign Henshin, your host with the most, the mercenary with the kicks, coming to you from 2286, reminding you that the future is yours and yours alone to conquer. So conquer it by any means necessary. I love y'all. Take it easy. Have a wonderful week. Peace out.